in this section, we're going to create our in-game UI script. We're going to start off and create a new script and attach it to our main node for our in-game UI. We're then going to ensure to create some functions to update all the UI elements. After that, once the script is complete, we'll test it out and make sure everything's working as expected. Now let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, let's get started with this script. So let's go ahead, open up our UI. Let's go ahead, open up the in-game, select the game screen node we have. Let's go ahead, add a new script for this. I'm going to go ahead, create this under, scripts. Open it up. Hit create. Alright. So we're going to start off with a couple variables here, a couple at-on readies to represent some of the elements. Alright, so we're going to start off with a variable, call it health, underscore bar, and simply just equal it to our health bar in the node. Drag and drop it in. Nice. Next up, another at-on ready variable. We're going to call this ammo underscore label. And again, simply just equal that to our current ammo label. All right, and that is going to be under ammo text, and then get the ammo label. We're also going to go ahead, have another at-on ready variable. Let's just call this money underscore text. And we're going to equal that simply to our money text, which is the label money. Nice. Looks good there. All right, we'll continue on. Let's go ahead and start off with our first function. This is going to be everything that updates on runtime of the game. So we're going to use our process function. First thing we'll do, of course, is stop updating things if it's game over. So we'll say if our global dot game over equals true, then simply just do a return because we don't want anything else to update. We're also going to go ahead and run a few functions we do not have created yet. We're going to call it update. Let's call it update gun underscore name. That'll just continually loop through and update whichever gun we're currently holding. We'll also create another function called update underscore reloading underscore text, which again will just verify whether or not we are reloading the current gun we're holding. Let's continue on and do a couple other things. Let's start off with a couple variables inside the function. We'll call it current underscore clip underscore value. We'll go ahead and make this a type int. Equal this to our global dot current items. And we're looking for which one we're holding, which we know is our global dot current slot. And then again, we know the current clip amount is going to be inside of 2. Okay? 2 meaning, if you go back to our global script, it's going to be 0, 1, and 2. This one's number 2. Let's go back to our script. So now we're going to need one also for our current available ammo in reserves. So let's just paste the same thing right below it and just call this current ammo value. And then all we got to do is change the current slot right over here to 3, which we know, go back into here, is going to be 0, 1, 2, and 3. This one, the reserve. Back in here though, let's continue on. Now we can go ahead, create a new text for it. So we'll do variable current underscore clip. And to make this readable, we'll do a string. And to organize it correctly, what I'm going to do is always make it have a couple zeros available for it, which I'm going to do, we'll do 2 to make it visible. We'll do percentage 0 2D. This is just a formatting for the string to basically always have it with a specific number of zeros. And then to replace in the text, we'll just do our current clip ammo or value. Then let's do the same thing for the ammo. Let's go ahead, paste it below. We'll just do current ammo now. This time, I'm going to increase it by 1 0, which we can simply do by changing that 2 to a 3. So now it'll always be a 3 0 value, and this will always be a 2 0 value. Okay? Then simply change this to our current ammo value. Nice. Then we can go ahead and set it, which I'm going to do by using our ammo label. dot text, and I'm going to equal it simply to our current clip, which we already have formatted into a string, plus, let's add a simple just comment slash so we can make it separated, and then again, add the current ammo. And with that, it should update it correctly. We can also update the money text while we're here. So let's do money text dot text equals, and I'm going to put a $sign just to make it look nice. We'll do $sign plus str string, and then we're just going to stringify with a similar way we did it with the ammo. I'm going to give it a 60 value this time. So if you guessed it, we're going to do the same thing. Percentage 0, and for 6 zeros, just put 6 D. Then we have to pass in the value for it. So again, percentage symbol, global money. So we know that's where we house our global money value. Perfect. All right. We're going to continue on now. Same function. This time we're going to say if global dot, we'll say player health is less than 90. Then we're going to go ahead, set our global dot player health. We'll do plus equals 3 times delta. And basically what this is going to do is just slowly always increase our health, which I think it makes it look really cool with the game we have. So anytime we get hurt, we're going to lose a chunk, but as long as we're walking around, we'll slowly regenerate health. After that, we'll do another global dot player health equals, and we'll do min just so we can make sure we don't always go over and under. So we'll do global dot player health, and then set the max to 90.0. Perfect. All right. Now, because we're calculating all the health in here, we can set the game over if we're ever below. So we'll do if global player health is less than or equal to 0. Then we're going to go ahead and just simply set our global dot game over value equal to true. And then the last thing we'll do is update the wave and the health bar. So we'll get health bar first. Health bar dot value, which we know is our progress bar. We're simply going to go ahead and just equal that to our current global dot player health that we're calculating above. And then, like I said, we're also going to do the wave, which we can just easily drag and drop in here. Drag and drop that wave in there. Dot text. And I'm going to go ahead, equal that to simply capital wave, space bar, and then just space plus str, and then pass in that global dot wave value we have. And with that, it'll update everything we need in real time. Now, as we move on, we'll go ahead and create our 2 functions here. Let's save what we got so far. All right, let's wrap up this script with 2 more functions. These ones are pretty simple. We just need one for updating the gun name and then also updating the reloading text. Let's do the update gun name first. So I'm going to copy this here. Let's go ahead, do function, paste the name, give it a colon, and then make it some room. All right, so what we're going to do, similar to how we've done it in the past, just if global dot current items, and we'll go ahead, look for the current slot we're at. So again, global dot current slot, and we're going to look for the name, which we know is going to be the 0, and we're going to look and see if it equals lowercase pistol. If that's the case, then we go ahead and update the name as needed, which we know you should have multiple ones in there. If you go to gun name, yep, we'll have different ones here. So I'm going to go ahead and let's make all of them false for now. Drag and drop in this one here and just do a dot visible. And then simply make it equal to true for pistol. And then for the others, we'll equal it false. So let's go ahead, paste that in for the others. Make sure, though, we have the correct names, which I did not do. Let's get rid of those there. Drag and drop each one in, just like that. And go ahead, make these both false. Then let's go ahead, copy the entire thing, paste it below, change the if to an elif, And this time we're looking for the silencer. And then go ahead, make the pistol false, but the silencer now true. Again, let's copy the whole thing. Paste it below. This time for the machine gun, so go ahead, type in machine. And then go ahead, make this one false, but the machine one true. And that should be everything for this function. So now we just need the update reloading text. So let's go ahead, save that real quick. Let's copy the name for the reloading text. Let's create a new function for it. Let's go ahead. I'm going to start off with an if. Say if global dot capital reloading. If that equals true, then all we're going to do is go ahead, get our, I think it's ammo text. Yep. We're going to make the reloading one true this time, but the other one false. So go ahead, dot visible equals true. And then let's paste the name of the other one, drag and drop it in. Let's go ahead, dot visible equal that simply to false. And then we can just do a simple else right here. And then just copy in both the values and just switch them out. So the top one here will be false. And the one below will now be true. Nice. Let's save that real quick. Let's go ahead. Let's close that down. Make sure those things are set. Yep. All right. And then we'll test it out, make sure everything's set correctly. Let's save what we got, go back to 2D view. Looking good. All right, let's go ahead now and test it out. So for testing purposes, what we're going to do is automatically just turn on the in-game. Usually we're going to have it off because we're going to have that main menu opened up first. But for testing purposes, just go ahead, turn that on. Let's start the current game. We should see things visible. Looks like our ammo is visible. Let's make sure it works correctly. Once we run out, it should refill. The reloading looks like it's working. Let's make sure if we get hurt, we can see, yep, health's going down. We'll continue up. Looks good there. I like it. Nice. Overall, looks great. Let's make sure, though, we can update the gun we're using. Let's go ahead, go to the gun, and select 2. Now we have the silencer. Let's also make sure it reloads correctly. Yep, looks like reloading, and there we go. Oh, doesn't look like it's minusing though correctly because we're currently at 120. Nope, it is, I think. Looks good there. And let's make sure, one more down. Yep, all right, it is working good. Perfect. And the wave eventually will go up once we get that created. There is one thing we do need to add though, which is the quit button. Currently, it is not working. As expected, it should reload the scene. We can go ahead, and what we'll do actually is once we get into the UI script, which manages which is open, and of course connecting to the menu, we'll add that in then. So we're not going to worry about it for now. But for now though, let's go ahead, set everything back to what it is, which is the in-game as invisible, okay? Looking good though. Let's save what we got. Alright, in this section, we're going to go ahead and create the game over script. This is going to be a real simple script. All we're going to do is basically have it enable the game over screen once the player runs out of health. So to begin, we'll go ahead and create that new script and attach it to the main game over node. From there, we'll ensure we have the functions set up correctly. And after that, we'll test it out to make sure things are working as expected. Now let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, let's go ahead and get started creating the game over script. Now this is going to be a real simple script. All we're going to do is just initiate game over once our player runs out of health. So let's go ahead, open up our game over node, select our game over screen, and then just add a script. Make sure we're saving the script in the correct location, and open it up and hit create. Alright, as mentioned, this is going to be real simple. We're simply going to have one variable here, call this game_ended. This will just ensure that we're not running the game over screen animation over and over again. We only want it to run one time. So to make that happen, we'll use our simple underscore process function. And within it, we'll simply say if global dot game over equals true and game ended equals false. This will ensure that it only runs one time. So we'll set our game ended now equal to true. And then of course, we'll run the animation. So go ahead, open up the node, drag and drop the animation player, dot play, and then run the game over. We're also going to go ahead and save what we got. From there, let's go back to 2D view. Let's go ahead, turn on the in-game screen, just so we can monitor the health, and we'll just run into a specific zombie until we get a game over. So let's go ahead, run into these zombies once one breaks through, and we'll just make sure things work as expected. So there we go, we got our zombie. It'll slowly start to hit us until we get that game over. Here's our game over, and there we go, it looks great. Now in the next section, we'll create that UI script so we can actually exit and restart the game. But for now, I think it looks pretty good. Let's go ahead, close out here, and save what we got. All right, in this section, we're going to create the UI script. We're going to start off and create a new script for the UI node. From there, we're going to ensure to create functions to turn on the correct screen depending on where we are in the game. After that, we're going to connect all the quit/menu buttons to this script to restart the game. Now let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, let's get started creating our UI script. Now this is going to be a real simple script. Basically, it's just going to turn on specific scenes that we want, and of course, be the hub for all the quit menu buttons. So let's select the UI, add the script, make sure we're saving it in the correct scripts folder, create. All right, so we'll start off with a couple things. We don't need any preset variables for this because it's going to be so simple. We're just going to create a function underscore ready, and we're going to start off showing, of course, our menu screen. So let's go ahead, drag and drop the menu in there, dot visible, and then go ahead, just equal that to true. We can also set the other scenes we want to be set first, such as the end game. We can do a dot visible and just set that to false. Same thing for the game over. Let's drag and drop that in, do a dot visible. And actually, I'm pretty sure the dot visible for the game over is irrelevant because we're already making it invisible and turned off, I think, with the animation player. So don't worry about that one. We'll just simply keep in the menu and the in-game for now, all right? But for updating it, we'll go ahead, do our function for our underscore process. And what we'll do, we'll say if global dot, let's do our store one, store opened. Let's just say equals empty quotes, because that's what we put. Then we'll go ahead and take our store, drag and drop it in, dot visible, and equal it to false. We'll then do another elif. This time, of course, we want to say if it does not equal empty quotes. So let's go ahead, take that, paste it in there, do an exclamation point for does not equal empty quotes. If that's the case, then we'll go ahead and make it true. Just like that. Perfect. We're also going to have one more if statement, and this will just be kind of like a reassurance. We'll just say if our global dot game over, and we'll go ahead and just equal it to true. If it equals true, then we'll turn it on. Now, it's really up to you if you want to turn it off over here. I might just put it in there just to be safe. So I'm going to go ahead, make sure that equals true there, because we're turning it on. But make sure we go ahead and just drag and drop it in here. Again, dot visible, and equal this to false for now, just in case. Not really necessary because we're already turning it off with the animation, but I'm going to keep it in there for now. Now we can go ahead and have the buttons. We have two buttons, one for playing the game and then one for kind of like restarting it. So let's start with the playing game. This will be under menu. We have button play. Let's simply connect the button play, press, and just go ahead and connect it to UI. From here, let's go ahead and first set on our global.gameOn, and we're going to equal that to true. We're also going to go ahead, turn off the menu screen. So we'll go ahead, take our menu node, .visible, and go ahead, equal that to false. Next up, we'll go ahead, drag and drop in the in-game, .visible, and simply equal that to true. Nice. Now, if you want to keep things squared away, I'm going to go into our global script now and just go ahead, locate that game on. We've been keeping it on true because we wanted to just test the game, but for now we can go ahead and keep it at false. So I'm going to save that there, go back to the UI script. Let's continue on to our next button, which is going to reset all the variables. So let's go ahead and select into in-game menu, or this one here, and then go ahead, locate the quit button we have, which is just called button menu. Let's connect it to the same UI script. So you might have to scroll up a bit. And all we're going to do in here is run the reset variables and then restart the scene. So global.reset game values. And then to restart the scene, we'll do get tree parentheses dot reload current scene. We also have another one of these buttons as well inside the game over. So let's close this one up here. Locate game over, open it up, locate the menu button. Simply select button menu and make sure it's this exact name as the other one or it's not going to work. Let's simply go ahead, scroll up to where the UI is. Once we're there, connect it. And there we go. All right, let's go ahead, close everything out, get ready for testing. Save what we got, go back to 2D view. All right, let's test it out now. Let's go ahead, and for now I'm going to turn off the in-game view and the store, and honestly, even the game over, because this is all automatically going to turn on. I am going to default turn on the menu. Let's go ahead, hit play. Make sure though, make sure you're hitting current scene. All right, so we have our main menu here. I'm going to hit play. Looks like we have the correct menu open. Let's make sure we can get a game over and leave the game. So I'm going to hang out here until we run out of health. Then we can select the button and see if it restarts the game. Hit menu. Nice, there we go. And hit play. Awesome. Let's make sure the quit button works as well. Let's select quit. Perfect. Looks like it's working as expected. All right, let me close there. Close out here. And let's also close up the UI. I'm going to zoom in a bit and save what we got. In this section, we're going to start creating our spawner node. We're going to start off and discuss the zombie spawner node being created. We're then going to create all the necessary nodes for the spawner. After that, we're going to ensure to add a timer for the spawn creation. Now let's go ahead and jump right in. This here will represent our spawner node. Our spawner node will be placed in the game node. Once a zombie spawns in, it'll be housed as a child to the spawner node, which has the spawner script attached to it. Every time a wave goes up, more zombies will be spawned and their current health will increase. Now, depending on what parts of the map you currently have unlocked will depend where the zombie spawns. Starting off, we'll always start off at the bottom area, spawning zombies only there until the player, of course, unlocks different rooms. Once all the rooms are unlocked, then zombies can spawn from any direction and any point. Alright, let's get started creating the spawner node. So, to make things run a little smoother, I'm going to turn off the start screen real quick, which is the menu, just to help things move a little better and be able to see where exactly we're going to put the points at. Now, the spawner node is going to be inside of the game world, so let's go ahead and create a new node 2D for this. I'm going to put this above the player and above the gun spots, so like right here, or below the gun spots. Let's go ahead and call this spawner node. Alright, for spawner node, we're going to need a couple different things, okay? First thing we're going to need is the collection of different zombie points. Now, because we only want certain ones to be visible per area that's unlocked, what I'm going to do is create a parent node for them. Let's call this zombie points. And then inside zom points, we're going to have 4 distinct nodes for each area. Let's right click on it, add child node, another node 2D. And let's just go ahead and name this each one. I'm going to call the first one bottom, which will be placed in the bottom area. Then I'm going to go ahead, Control D. Let's call this one left for the left side. Then we'll do another for the right. So duplicate that, right for the right side. And then another one for the top. All right, now inside of these, we can place the actual spawn points. Now, to determine whether or not we want them to actually spawn, we're going to give them a specific group tag. And we're only going to give the bottom ones the starting group tag. The others, the script will attach that group tag as we slowly unlock the areas. So let's go ahead and start off with the bottom ones. Right click, add child node, simply create a node 2D. And I'm just going to call this point. And like I said, we need to give the bottom ones that starting group. So go ahead, select it, go to groups. Let's add a new one and just call this zom point, capital P. All right, now let's place this one in the correct position. I'm going to put it somewhere like over here. Let's go ahead, Control D this. Put the other one above the other barrier. Let's do another next to this one, and then another over here. Looks good. All right. And as mentioned, these ones are all going to have that group tag. The other ones are not, because we need to unlock the area for them to start having that group tag in them, which the script will only spawn zombies at whatever ones have this tag. So let's go ahead and do the other ones. I'm just going to take the first one here, Control D it, drag and drop it into left. Now for left, let's go ahead and place them correctly. I'm going to put it a little bit behind the entry point. Let's do another, like right over here. And another right over here. Looks good. Now these ones though do not need the group, so let's select them, turn off the group tag for each one. Let's go ahead though, duplicate another one in here. I'm going to drag and drop it into right. Let's put them in the correct location for the right side. Control D, another one over here, and then Control D for another right over here. Perfect. All right, again, these should not have that group tag, which they don't, and that's great. Let's do the final ones for top. There's going to be 4 in this one. So let's Control D, drag and drop into top, and then go ahead, place each point. Let's put a point there, another one over here, another over here, and then the last one right over here. And with that, we have all of our points. Just remember, those other ones do not need the group tags. The only one that should have the group tags is the bottom one, because that's our starting location. All right, now that we got all those there, let's close up zom points. We can go ahead now and add in our timers, okay? Now I think we're only going to need one, which is going to be the spawn timer. So let's right click on the spawner node, add child node, and select timer. Now eventually we'll attach a signal to this. For now though, I think we can leave everything else the same. We'll change it in the script. So just make sure you have timer here and give it a distinct name, like timer spawn. And just to help clean things up, let's get rid of our default zombies, because all the zombies eventually are going to be inside of the spawner node. So let's select zombie and zombie 2. Delete both of those. And with that, we're ready for the next section. We'll go ahead and create the script. Let's save what we got so far.